Chapter 24. Twee is not like Dee. For the rest of the day, Red abandoned all hope of paying attention in her classes. In etiquette, she kept her head down at her desk and drafted a memo that would be sent to all the soldier cards. Her Majesty the Queen of Hearts has arranged for a private training event to take place in the Grand Hall during her leave. All soldier cards must vacate the vicinity on Thursday evening from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock p.m. And Princess Red is not to be disturbed in her preparations. In riddle, she sketched a crude map of the castle with plans for her guests. They could come in through a back service entrance. Ace or Chester could be stationed there, up the side stairs and into the hall without attracting too much attention. She didn't even follow much of science with Maddox. Instead, she made lists of decorations and other supplies they would need. However, his lecture on the refraction of light did give her a flash of inspiration. But it was harder to float by in princess training. Even stranger was seeing Twee now that Red had met her counterpart in Bramble Bay. As Red returned to the ballroom, it was as though she was coming face to face with a stiffer, more bitter version of Dee. Where Twee had once seemed intimidating, it now struck Red that she might just be unhappy with herself and with the life she'd ended up in. Red glanced at Dora, wondering if she had a similar story. "I heard you were receiving training from the Duchess," Twee said, sniffing. "I hope you didn't absorb too much. She's a dreadful woman. Now listen, we need to get to work if you're going to be in halfway passable shape by the time your mother gets home." Red bristled. She was about to retort, but thought better of it. Before she let herself change her mind, Red sat down on the floor of the ballroom and crossed her legs. Dora and Twee looked horrified. "What are you doing?" Dora said, her voice strangled. Red shrugged. "Sitting on the floor. It's comfortable. Have you ever tried it?" "I would never!" Twee exclaimed. "It's not ladylike. It's dirty." "No, it's not. The fish servants sweep every morning." Red ran a finger along the marble floor. It came away clean. "Aren't you tired of sitting with perfect posture on those stiff chairs? I don't know about yours, but my butt gets pretty sore." Twee looked as though someone was choking her. "Princess Red, we never refer to our... to that in polite company. Is that what this is? Polite company?" Red wrapped her arms around her knees and looked up at them both. "Do we have to be polite company? Can we just be friends? Sit down." The older girls didn't move a muscle. "That's an order. Sit down with me." Mechanically, as though they never bent at the knees or waist in their lives, Twee and Dora lowered themselves to the floor. They stretched out their arms for balance and landed rather awkwardly on what was not to be named. "There," said Red. "It's kind of fun, isn't it? It's a whole new perspective of the room." She looked up at the high arching ceiling and the pool of light in which they sat, pouring in through the tall windows. "I used to sit on the floor and play cards all the time when I was little. Then my mother told me that nobody sits on the floor, especially not nobility." Twee and Dora only stared. "But why not?" Red went on. "Look, we're doing it right now. We don't always have to listen to people who tell us what we can't do something. This is just..." Dora spluttered. "Of all the ridiculous, backward..." "Don't be mean," Red said coolly. "I want to know more about the two of you. What do you like to do? Why do you decide to become part of the court?" Dora blinked. This is my whole life. My mother was a lady of the court. So was my grandmother. What else is there?" "This is the only thing worth doing in Wonderland," said Twee, her voice close to a sneer. "Be an ugly soldier card? No. Slave away at Wonderland High, teaching every silly thing the Queen tells you to teach? No thanks." Red spoke slowly. "If you could be anything, what would you be?" "Anything like in Wonderland?" Dora asked. No, anywhere. There are other places than just Wonderland, you know." "Well, I'm not about to walk off and abandon my hometown like..." Twee vigorously shook her head. "Like some people. This is where I was raised. I'm not going to just give up on it." "So all this royal training, Complaining about the monarchy, this position you don't seem to like very much. That's you not giving up on Wonderland? Asked Red. Oh, I don't know, Twee said irritably. I don't even know what you're talking about right now. You're making a big thing out of nothing. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. Doesn't everybody? Excuse me. Excuse me. Red leaned back and nodded. She let the silence hang between them. Then she said, I just wanted to let you know. This will be my last day of training. Dora frowned. That's not really your decision. If I'm the heir apparent of Wonderland, then it is my decision. I've learned all I can from you, and when my mother gets back, there'll be no more time for lessons. Thank you for spending time with me. You can't just, Twee started, but Red rose and started out of the room. At the door, she paused, looking back at them and crossing her fingers that there was something in the two girls she could trust. If you ever want to find out what it's like to do things you're not supposed to, Red said, keep your eyes peeled. You just might get a chance.